Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the first 4 episodes of the series, Birdie Wing, Golf Girl's Story. A teenage girl has such sheer power that she can strike golf balls and break tree branches with them. However, will this ability help her win the national championship, or will she end up short of her goal? Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episodes. The series revolves around a golf prodigy named Eve, who lives in the European state of Nafrece. She earns money from underground golf tournaments and also has unique abilities that allow her to have powerful golf strikes. The first episode begins with a routine golf tournament where pro golfer Chris Christina is seen playing exceptionally well despite her bad performance in her recent games. She soars up the leaderboard and as a result holds her preliminary ranking for 10 years in a row. However, after the game in Chris's office, she takes off her mask and it's revealed that it was in fact Eve who was posing as Chris. It turns out that Chris had suffered from a leg injury, preventing her from performing well. So in order to preserve her public image, she had hired Eve to impersonate her and maintain her ranking in the tournament in exchange for a nice paycheck. Afterwards, Eve collects her money and heads home with her younger sister Lily, who accompanies her everywhere. The two reach home at night, and it's revealed that they are actually part of an adopted family, consisting of their older sister and 3 young siblings. The family also owns a bar, so the reason Eve partakes in unsanctioned golf games is to support her family and the bar by making money using her golfing skills. Thanks to Eve's earnings, the two return with bags full of sweets and food, which the family rarely gets to eat. Immediately after they reach home, Eve's older sister gets a call from someone who challenges Eve to a game of mini-golf near a train station. Reluctant as her older sister may be, and desperate to earn more money, Eve doesn't hesitate to play once more. So, in the dead of night, she and Lily head off and arrive near a set of train tracks. There, they are surprised to find out that the person who challenged Eve is an old friend named Kevin. He is accompanied by his golfer whom he had bet on to beat Eve. Mysteriously, the golfer wears a clown mask, who goes by the name CC. Then, Kevin offers his betting price to 6,000 euros for a 1-hole match. Lily and Eve are both astonished to hear him bet this much money, as it is 10 times more than the usual amount. Despite this, Eve does not withdraw and confidently agrees to play against CC. A few minutes later, CC takes her first shot and covers exactly half distance to the hole. Following this, Eve orders Lily to take the first shot, but she doesn't make it far. For their second shot, Eve gets into her stance and starts to narrate her process to send the golf ball flying. It's then revealed by Lily that Eve's nickname is the Rainbow Bullet, as she shoots the ball through the air, which flies perfectly between 2 carts of a fast-moving train and ends up just short of the hole, securing Eve's victory. After her amazing shot, we get to know that the masked golfer is actually Chris Christina. After winning the bet and earning more cash, the two sisters head back home. However, on the way, they notice a cop demanding bribes from their older sister outside the bar. Seeing this, Eve grabs the 6,000 euros and rushes to the scene where she squares off with the cop and sends him off after giving him her total winnings. It's then revealed that the family is actually a group of undocumented refugees who don't have the right to work or even live there. So as a result, they have to regularly pay off the cops for them to turn a blind eye. Later in the afternoon, Eve trains golf in a nearby park, where she's informed by Lily that a local mobster named Mr. Robert wants a match for 2,000 euros in a prestigious golf course. After finding out about this, Eve is even more pumped up to play and confidently agrees to the match. A while later, the two sisters arrive at the golf course, where they meet up with Mr. Robert. But they soon find out that instead of Mr. Robert, Eve will face off against his 15-year-old niece, Helena Roberta, who is the nation's junior champion. To add to the difficulty of competing against a pro golfer, the course has a big tree right in the center, making it difficult to navigate the golf ball. Eve prepares to shoot the ball, but it is underestimated by Helen. However, she is soon mistaken when Eve sends the ball flying straight in the direction of the tree. Eve deliberately aims for the tree, as her brute force snaps its branch and doesn't stop its momentum. This shocks Helen, and by only 2 more shots, Eve manages to put the ball into the hole. Helen is taken aback, so she draws back from the challenge, seeing Eve's sheer skill and power. This leads to Eve winning the 2,000 euros, and the two decide to stay in the golf course a little longer to practice some more. Out of the blue, a Japanese golfing prodigy named Aoi Amawashi approaches Eve and Lily, along with her assistant, Amane. It turns out that Aoi is in Nafrece for the Under-15 Women's World Championship, which will start in a few days. Aoi then then challenges Eve to a friendly game of golf, to which she happily obliges. But when Aoi pulls out her unusually long golf club, Eve gets intrigued to see her play. Suddenly, Aoi sends the ball flying into the air and even surpasses Eve's ball, which she had shot at first. The second episode begins with Aoi and Amane witnessing Eve's amazing shot while playing with Helen. After Helen's forfeit, Aoi rushes to Eve to play with her. However, with little time on Aoi's schedule, her assistant Amane orders her to play a one-hole match. Aoi agrees but wants to play on the hardest course available. Hence, Amane finds course number 14, with an L-shaped terrain surrounded by a thick forest between the starting point and the hole, making it one of the most challenging courses. With no delay, Eve starts and prepares to send the golf ball flying. To everyone's surprise, she aims towards the forest in order to take a shortcut to the hole. She uses her special shot called Blue Bullet, and the golf ball gets launched into the air through the trees with full force. The ball manages to pierce through half of the forest before it stops just 150 yards away from the hole. Amane and Aoi are both puzzled as to how she only uses her brute force to play, which is considered to be an unorthodox way to play golf. Aoi, on the other hand, uses a different golf club as per Amane's request. She lines up her shot and hits the ball straight along the course. Initially, it looks like a normal shot, but after further inspection, Eve finds out that based on the ball's trajectory, it is a splice shot, which curves along the course, passing over the hill and all of the bunkers. The golf ball eventually curves almost 90 degrees to the left and lands just 138 yards away from the hole, which leaves Lily and Eve both in utter shock. It is then revealed that Aoi's nickname is the Innocent Tyrant. Later, Eve, Lily, and Aoi head into the forest for Eve's second shot at the ball. After finding the ball, Aoi tries to advise Eve on where to shoot, but she doesn't listen and plays by herself. Eve then uses another special shot called the Heaven's Red Bullet and shoots the ball straight upwards. This, however, does not work in her favor, and Eve fails to gain distance towards the hole. Following this, Aoi takes stance for her second shot and manages to shoot the ball just a few inches away from the hole. Seeing this, Eve already knows she's lost, but she still doesn't get sad. She instead admires Aoi and is actually happy playing golf after a long time. For her third shot, Eve uses a putt club and focuses all of her attention on getting the ball near the hole. This time, she uses another one of her moves called Insatiable Green Bullet and aims for a small bump of land in front of her. This causes the ball to change its trajectory and aim directly towards the hole. The ball gradually rolls towards the hole, but it bounces back after hitting the pole a little too hard. The scene then cuts into a few days later at night, where a lady named Henri is hosting a mini golf game in the city streets. She claims that the winner gets 1,000 euros for getting it into the hole. However, the setup is rigged, as there are magnets inside the golf ball and beneath the mini golf surface, which alters the ball's direction, no matter how perfect the shot is. Henri manages to scam one individual before Eve shows up and gets the golf ball into the hole, despite it being a scam. Turns out that Henri is the assistant of a local gangster called Rose Allion, and Eve requests to meet her. A few moments later, Eve gets to meet Rose in her golf shop. There, Eve finds out that Aoi has taken the lead in the Under-15 Women's World Championship after the first day. Here we get to know that Aoi Amawashi is actually the only daughter of Sierra Amawashi, an international-level pro golfer, and Katsuhiko Hodaka, a golf player who is referred to as the Monster. Due to this, Aoi has received the best golf training from a young age, which has resulted in her excellent skills. Moreover, Sierra Amawashi is also the CEO of the renowned Athena brand, who make golf clubs. It is then revealed that Eve actually wants Rose to arrange for her to play in the Women's Championship, as the latter has direct contact with the event's main sponsor, called Catherine. The reason being is that Eve is now obsessed with her newfound purpose of challenging Aoi to a full 18-hole match and beating her. Rose eventually agrees to help, but tells Eve that she owes her big time. The third episode starts with Rose and Eve visiting Catherine to ask if he can arrange Eve's place in the tournament. Catherine initially declines, but agrees when Rose proposes that they will agree to her previous offer, but doesn't go into detail what it is. So, under the name Eve Allion and a special invitation, she participates on the last day of the championship. Soon, Aoi and Amane also find out about Eve's sudden participation in the tournament, which makes Aoi ecstatic about being able to play a full-on proper game with her. However, Eve is in another group and has to wait for her chance to play with her. Meanwhile, Rose and Henri also attend the championship to spectate. There, Rose explains to Henri about Eve's unique style of playing golf, which relies only on her strength strength instead of strategies. Because of this, Rose believes that she will make it to the top and claims that she is only using Eve for the money. She's capable of winning. In the meantime, Helen has problems performing well and blames it on her interaction with Eve the other day. She too finds out that Eve is participating in the game and realizes she's doing exceptionally well, outperforming everyone in her group. In the meantime, Lily and her older sister are also concerned about Eve's whereabouts, as she hasn't told them about her tournament games. However, their doubt is soon gone when one of their youngest siblings sees Eve as the games are being broadcast on the internet. This all confuses and shocks the family, as she hadn't informed anyone about participating in the tournament. By the end of her 18th hole, Eve manages to stay 1 point ahead of Aoi, who still has one more round to play. Later, Eve sits to watch Aoi take her shot on her last round. The two of them exchange looks as Aoi's shot lands on the green just short of the hole. Her next shot will end their round and assure her win. As Aoi hits what should be an easy putt, Rose smiles wickedly as the ball uncharacteristically rolls wide and misses the hole. The fourth episode begins where Aoi misses her hole but still manages to win the championship because of her overall score. Eve is shocked, so when Aoi walks off the course, she confronts her, demanding to know why she deliberately blew that shot. Aoi says the shot was not missed on purpose. A flashback then shows Henri cheating by flashing a laser pointer into Aoi's eye to make her miss. Eve storms off as Rose and Henri watch from the side, saying to herself that she needs Eve to remain motivated for the coming event. In the evening, Eve sits by a lake and remembers that Aoi and her have set up a rematch tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. before her flight back to Japan. The memory brings a smile to Eve's face as Rose and Henri pull up. Rose tells her to get in, as Eve now has to repay the favor of her letting Eve into the championship. So they blindfold Eve and pull the car into a parking garage. Rose then tells Henri to wait in the car as she escorts Eve into the elevator, where they go underground. Upon arriving, Eve finds herself in a massive underground golf course made by Catherine. Rose explains to Eve that Catherine has to settle a land deal with a big-time mafia boss. Hence, they have decided to finalize the deal with a game of golf, and that Eve will play on behalf of Catherine. A few moments later, the mafia don named Mr. Nicholas arrives and introduces his golfer, an underground reputed golfer who is called Vipere, the Reaper. The two get ready to play in the golf course, which has been designed to amazingly change its terrain after each game. However, just as Eve shoots at the hole, Vipere unzips her suit to her belly button, and Eve's shot lands in the rough, surprising her and Rose, while Vipere's shot lands perfectly in the green. As they head for their second shots, Rose drives up in a cart to warn Eve about Vipere's reputation for throwing her opponents off their game. Eve's second shot lands perfectly on the green, but before she hits the ball for the win, Vipere again lowers her zipper, causing Eve to miss the easiest shot. Rose suspects that she's cheating, but can't figure out in detail what Vipere is up to. In their final game, Eve's first shot lands in the ditch. Before she takes her second shot, she takes a deep breath and holds it, taking nearly a minute. Suddenly, she hits the shot from afar and unexpectedly gets it in the hole, winning the match. Afterwards, Eve reveals that she figured out Vipere's secret. It turns out that Vipere's snake tattoo located below her belly releases a subtle pheromone that throws her opponents off balance. So, to combat it, she holds her breath for a while before shooting to reduce the effect of the chemical. However, there is no time to celebrate, so she tells Vipere to get her to the Nafrece golf course to play with Aoi, which is a 4-hour drive from the city. Meanwhile, Aoi patiently waits for nearly 2 hours, but Amane tells her that they need to leave. Shortly after, Eve arrives at the golf course only to find it empty. She does, however, find Aoi's golf ball sitting on a golf tee. When Eve picks it up, she finds a single word written on the back, which says, liar. Aoi then looks out of the window of her plane and spots Eve along the fence, and starts tearing up while screaming, liar, as Eve shoots Aoi's ball towards the plane.